Welcome back to the last episode for the season of 28 Days and Beyond,
where we talk about our history, our heritage, and our culture.
I'm Amari.
I'm Charisma. Hey, guys.
Yeah. Riz, another season down. This was season 6. This was our third season co-hosting this thing.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Same here. See what I do there?
Yeah, because
I'm real peace and love
you know
today.
What I'm saying? Yeah, definitely so. What were some of the highlights of the season for you?
I mean, there were so many. We had Dr. Anderson come on and play the violin.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Whitney's always fun. Whitney is always fun.
Yeah.
Antoine, of course, you know, is my favorite person on earth, so that was great. I just love that we had such a variety of topics. You know, we started off talking about the return, and I feel like, found ways to integrate that throughout the season in terms of just all the things that have been impacting the community as a whole.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite?
My favorite, well, I mean, what you said about different topics, but also there were some topics that repeated, but there were different facets of it, right? And really gave us a larger or a deeper understanding of these things. Man, the fact is, we out here doing it, in 2020 and beyond. You know, it was a long month. It was a long February, 29 days, leap year. You know, but I think, you know, as always, this conversation is ongoing, and we're continuing to push it forward. So that's a beautiful thing. Yeah,
I'm excited to see what season 7 brings.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was really cool that we had a whole bunch of guests that we couldn't even fit in the season, but we
yeah, people knocking down the door
I
to
know.
be on 28 Days
I was
and
like,
Beyond.
I'm feeling pretty good about this.
And we had some celebrities on. I'm thinking, of course, of Spurgo.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? The drip, got the drip, right? The 14-year-old entrepreneur taking over the world.
14.
Yeah, Trey Brown. That's crazy.
Oh my.
It wouldn't be proper if we weren't prudent enough, to provide space for the man behind it all.
Yes.
You know, this is, of course, the vision of Hezekiah Lewis III, who's a filmmaker. He's a professor at Villanova University, and he's the mastermind behind 28 Days and Beyond.
So after this break, is what you're saying, we're going to be joined by the
illustrious, the man, the myth, and
legend
himself,
Mr. Hezekiah Lewis.
That's it.
We'll be back with more 28 Days and Beyond right after this.
We're back on 28 Days and Beyond with the man himself, Hezekiah Lewis III.
Rounds of applause.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Chilling.
Another season.
Another season.
Yeah, another season. And, you know, just want to thank y'all again. I know all the sacrifices y'all put into, like, putting the show together. Y'all ain't getting paid a lot of money. Zero. We need some investors quickly. But I really appreciate, like, everything y'all have done for the show. Y'all's energy has just been unbelievable. It's like, you know, we have these kind of very organic conversations with people. And every time the show is done, I just see the guests want to stay around and even conversate more. You just put a comfort level to a lot of people, and that shows up on camera. That shows up, you know, behind the scenes, and, you know, we don't have a very sparse crew. We got 1, 2. We only have a third camera person, right? You know, and even, you know, Caleb Lucky really stepping in this year as a director, which is unbelievable. You know, very proud to see, like, a lot of the students that kind of take helm, and even, you know, folks that are out and come back, you know, and really want to help out with the show. But that's a testament to, like, just the energy y'all put out there. So appreciate that.
What's up, man? No doubt. It's definitely, you know, it's always an adventure.
Yes, it is.
You know what I mean? We get guests in who talk. You really take us in some directions that we weren't anticipating. But you know, I mean, this is for you. It's 6 seasons. It's the 6th season of the show, man. What is your vision going forward?
I mean, for me, I always want to make it bigger and better, right? So when we started out, you know, season 1, it was just one conversation. You probably interview one person, be in a nice little, you know, black curtains and a easel with some pictures in the background. And we start off with, like, little 5-minute segments, and people wanted more. You know, I said before, like, the reason why I even started this process is, like, my kind of giving to Black History Month, you know, but I think for me, I wanted to go beyond that, you know, and that's why we put the Beyond on 28 Days and Beyond, not just for the leap year, but it really, for me, is a vision that I feel like I can't wait till we get it to a bigger masses of people. Like, you know, I'm happy that it's getting out there on the little YouTube channels and things like that, but I think if we could get this on network and really have folks kind of see just black people having positive conversations, you know, and I think, you know, somebody, one of the guests said, I didn't say anything about black history. I said, you did when you sat down.
Right.
You sat down, you walked in this room, you see people of color having conversations that are universal. That's all I really care about. It doesn't have to be about blackness all the time, because we are black. I love black. I mean, but we have a story like everyone else, and I just want people to actually sit down and listen to those stories. Good, bad, the ugly, the pretty, the beautiful. I mean, it's for me, it's just about having those organic conversations that everyone has, and humanizing who we are, and really distilling a lot of those negative stereotypes that people have of us out there. So that's what I love the show, and that's my vision for the show. If it reaches one person, I'm happy. If it reaches 1 million, that'd be great, you know. But you know, I'm hoping that we can expand the reach, you know, as we move forward.
That was one of the things that Mari and I talked about a lot this season was, you know, when it comes to Black History Month specifically, a lot of times folks are like, oh, well, you know, we do trivia and we learn about the same, you know, 15, 20 people, but with this show and this platform, we're really able to introduce our audience to a number of people that are doing a wide span of things in our community.
And it's important to say the people, right? It's not celebrities.
No,
you know,
it's people.
We're bringing everyday people to the set, and folks that are kind of community leaders on all facets. I mean, we had a 14-year-old this year.
I know.
That is a celebrity, but
He might be the exception.
And
Him and charisma.
But it was amazing.
And we had
an NBA player on the set.
player.
We did, you know, but it was amazing to see, like, when after that segment was done, like the folks behind the camera was like, I got to step my game up.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Inspiration.
You're getting inspiration from a 14-year-old, you know, and that's the type of thing the show can do for you.
That's what's up, man. Anything stick out in particular from the season?
I mean, every day is always, you know, every guest is great to me. You know, I think to really, you know, the Kobe special was great. You talked about Alvin Williams. I mean, that was like a shocker for everyone in the middle of this process. To really kind of think about, you know, his impact on society, on the world, and like I said, I feel like he was my family member. You know, I just felt something about that show. The 14-year-old, like I said, that was unreal. You know, Whitney's always fun. You know, but there was so many amazing just conversations and even, you know, we had my buddy Brody on the show and just talking about working out, you know, and I was like, wow, it's a different perspective of like, you know,
it's not like get big.
Get big. It's just like
it's a lifestyle sort of thing.
So I think we have a lot of, you know, there was so much. It was so rich that I really can't pinpoint that's one person, but I think just the totality of the show and the diversity of the show within, you know, I say diversity within, you know, blackness. That to me was so, it was just so touching to see.
Man, you know, it's interesting that you say that diversity within blackness. I appreciate that because I feel like a lot of times when people say diversity, they mean different, completely overlooking the fact that there is so much diversity
within our own community.
When we come back, I want to talk about how we're seeing a lot in sort of more mainstream outlets of the diversity of the black experience, and get your thoughts as a filmmaker, as a media critic, and all of that. When we come back with more 28 Days and Beyond.
And we're back with 28 Days and Beyond, still here with Hezekiah Lewis. So before the break, we were talking a little bit about the diversity within the black experience. Would love to hear your thoughts on that whole concept.
It's so, man, I've been talking a lot about this issues of black. I always say I don't speak for all black people, right? And for me, I like to, whenever I share my story, I'm having conversations with people, I always share my personal story and my personal beliefs. And it's okay that we don't all agree on everything, right? And I think when, you know, blackness is so, there's so many levels to it, you know, and we could talk about, you know, African American or Black American or Africans in the kind of a relationship that we have with the continent of Africa. I mean, it's so many different facets to it that I feel like we don't have enough of those conversations so they can show this how unique we all are in our own ways, but at the same time, there's a sense of pride in who we are. And I feel like that, to me, you know, we talk about the return. I always want to talk about the return. For me, I want to, but they had the year to return, but now what do we do? You know, what's next? And how do we kind of continue these conversations that we started and people going back home and kind of seeing those elements and really Sankofa we talk a lot about as well, you know, and you know, kind of shout out to my students who won the Student Oscar this year, but that film has really been traveling around and you see so many different black perspectives, but just within that, you know, within that film itself, that it's really having these charged conversations about identity, you know, and black identity in particular. So I mean, we're so complex, and I think we can do a show for many seasons.
Yeah.
Just talking about the complexity of blackness.
Right.
Yeah.
From a professional perspective, right, as a filmmaker, as a storyteller, what are your thoughts on what we've been seeing? Things like I don't know, that come to mind. Things I like. I love Queen Sugar.
Yeah.
But even the movie that really had an impact on me was Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Even though it's directed by a
Brilliant
white dude, we'll talk about that later. You know what I'm saying? but like what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But in other words, we are seeing a
Surge.
wider array of stories about black people by black people, right, that are not necessarily sticking to, and definitely rest in peace to John Singleton. I think what he did was really important, but like, it seems like
A
so much of
different
Hollywood
narrative.
was stuck in that.
Yeah.
That's what we have to be
Right.
talking about,
Right.
right? The hood films and such. Like, what do you think about all of this?
I love this how much, not just in blackness, but like the Me Too movement, like seeing more women represented,
Yeah.
more people of color represented. And I think a lot of times, I saw the Oscars. They always say Oscars so white. Yeah, okay, and I think for me, I don't look at it in a negative way. It's more like it fuels me to like say, okay, now is it all about getting an Oscar or being recognized by the Academy? Not necessarily, but I think seeing more representation like us, not just hosting or being performers and things like that. Like, how can we also be in the conversation about that issue of
No shade.
no shade on y'all.
No, not on us. I mean, but
At all.
yeah.
But it's like, 'cause I think that's important, but there's much more to us once
Right.
again,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We can also, you think about the Oscars, the one that won was the animation about black hair. And that was
That's
the
a
only kind of
great
black
film.
content that
Yeah.
really won.
Gotcha.
So, but then you have on the flip side of it, South Korea came in and
Yeah,
swept,
and
and it was like the first Oscar ever, and they had 4 major categories. And I sat back and congratulations, but I'm thinking black people, we got to step our game up,
Yeah.
And I think if that's the measure in a way, I think we should definitely try to make more films that are that are happening. But I think the more we do it, the Academy and people outside of our communities, they'll start seeing the worthiness of that. And I think a lot of times people are still stuck in those ways of the stereotypes that we put out there. But I'm loving to see fresh faces, fresh stories, and I think we're in the right direction.
Yeah.
Have we gotten there yet? Not quite,
Yeah.
but I still feel like there's a lot of work to be done.
Yep.
But let's not be angry about not having that representation,
let's just
and
do
just
the
make
work.
use that as fuel to really kick down those doors
And it has
don't
been
ask
a
for that
lot.
permission.
It has been a lot of intersectionality, I feel like,
Yes.
in terms of that. Like Ava DuVernay, because you mentioned Queen Sugar. I know for a fact.
Ralph Angel, great actor.
Yeah, but she's been having women as directors for
Oh,
each
right, for
episode.
each episode. I
So
think
that
that's
was
what-
that was
yeah,
really
yeah.
important. And even the film The Photograph that just came out recently, like one of the things that I've been hearing from a lot of people is, it's great to finally just see a black love story where there's no trauma attached to the main characters, just showing us in all these different facets and showing different narratives of us just existing,
Let's keep
just
pushing it.
telling our
Yeah,
stories.
let's keep pushing it.
So,
Well, you're definitely doing that, man, and
Yes,
we're happy to
thank
be
you.
along for the ride with you. Another episode of 28 Days, but also all the things that you're doing with the Kai Productions and everything
Yeah.
else, man. We're grateful, bro.
yes,
Man,
thank
y'all.
you.
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir, man. So when we come back from the break, we are joined by the songbird herself.
Who?
We'll be back with more 28 Days and Beyond. This has been another season of 28 Days and Beyond.
Where we talk about our history, our heritage, and our culture.
Now, before we leave you, in typical 28 Days and
Aye.
Beyond fashion, we'll be blessed with the musical stylings
Oh, well,
of
thank you.
Charisma.
Accompanied by
I just so happen to have this.
See how you just pulled that out of nowhere? Set up. Loving you is easy 'cause you're beautiful. And every day of my life is filled with loving you. Loving you, I see your soul come shining through. Every time that I'm more in love with you. colors that you bring. Stay with me while we grow old, and we will live each day in springtime. 'Cause loving you, la 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 la, doom doom doo, be doo be doo be doo. My oh my, my oh my, my oh my, my, loving you.
Charisma.
Amari,
Yo, it's always a pleasure.
always. We'll see you guys next season.